Number 5, Mile High Devastation. So this is the 2012 AFC Divisional. This is Baltimore Ravens at the Denver Broncos. This is Peyton Manning trying to lead him to a Super Bowl title in his first ever year there. And this is Baltimore and Ray Lewis possibly final game. So there was a lot on the line. So let's just take a look, break it down for you. Broncos starters, QB Peyton Manning, running back Sean Moreno, receivers Eric Decker, Brandon Stokely, and Demarius Thomas, tight end Joel Dreesen. Offensive line Ryan Clady, Zane Beatles, Dan Coppin, Chris Cooper, Orlando Franklin. Defensive line Derek Wolfe, Kevin Beckerson, Justin Bannon, and Elvis Dimmerville. Linebackers Von Miller, Keith Brooking, Wesley Woodyard, and secondary Champ Bailey, Chris Harris, Mike Adams, and Raheem Moore. For the Ravens, QB Joe Flacco, running back Ray Lewis, fullback Ray Rice, fullback Javonte Leach, receivers Torrey Smith and Quan Bolden, tight end Ed Dixon, offensive line Bryant McKinney, Clutchio Smelly, Matt Burke, Marshall Yonda, and Michael Orr. Defensive line Paul Kruger, Lodi Nada, and Make Kamiotu. Linebackers Terrell Suggs, Daniel Ellerby, and Ray Lewis. And the secondary Corey Graham, Kerry Williams, Bernard Pollard, and Ed Reed. So overall, though, fantastic defensive sides of both ends, fantastic offenses, and like I said, it was a magical ride for this game. So let's get started. 12 minutes and 14 seconds left. Trenton Holiday 90-yard punt return touchdown 7-0 Denver. 10 minutes 31 seconds left. Torrey Smith 59-yard touchdown pass from Joe Flacco 7-7. 9:49 Corey Graham 39-yard interception return touchdown 14-7 Baltimore. 4 minutes and 2 seconds left. Brandon Stokely 15-yard touchdown pass from Peyton Manning 14-14. Second quarter, 7 minutes 26 seconds left. Sean Moreno, 14-yard pass from Peyton Manning, touchdown, 14-21 Denver. And 36 seconds left. Torrey Smith, 32-yard pass from Joe Flacco, touchdown, 21-21. Now, third quarter, 14:47 time is left. Pretty much Trenton Holiday, 104-yard kickoff return for a touchdown in the opening of the second half, and it's 21-28 Denver. 20 seconds left. Ray Rice, 1-yard touchdown run, 28 ball. Fourth quarter, 7 minutes, 11 seconds left. Demarius Thomas, 17-yard pass from Peyton Manning. It's 28-35 Denver. And then the miracle shot where Joe Flacco just spiraled one down the field, seeing if anyone can get it. The defensive backs were definitely way too far from Jacoby's side. They thought it would be underthrown. Instead, it was right on point to where exactly Jacoby was at. And with 31 seconds left, it was the 70-yard pass, 70-yard bomb, Jacoby Jones to Joe Flacco, and it tied up 35-35. They would end up, nothing would happen in overtime. They both would end up having a lot of turnovers in there. Second overtime, Peyton Manning would end up having an interception there, which led Baltimore with great field position. And they drove their way to where it was 13 minutes and 18 seconds left in the second overtime, and Justin Tucker, 47-yard field goal is good. Baltimore eliminates Denver, goes to the conference championship, and we all know what happens there. Baltimore's ride to the Super Bowl is, well, it's a great roller coaster ride, but it was a fantastic game, and it deserves a lot of credit. Very, very actionable game, and a lot of heart-stopping kind of moments. Number 4, a marathon. So this is one of the longest football games in NFL history between the San Diego Chargers and the Miami Dolphins. We're going all the way back to 1981. Pretty much two offenses just clashing, scoring a lot of points, and in turn it got them to an overtime. So why don't we just dive into their starters and everything. We're starting with the Dolphins. QB David Woodley, fullback Andrew Franklin, receivers Jim Cefalo and Nat Moore, tight ends Ronnie Lee and Bruce Hardy, left tackle John Giesler, left guard Bob Kuchenberg, center Mark Dennard, Ed Newman, right guard, right tackle Eric Lasko. Defensive line Doug Betters, Bob Baumhauer, Vern Den Herder, Linebackers Bob Brzezinski, Ernest Roan, A.J. Dew, and Larry Gordon. And secondary Fulton Walker, Gerald Small, Glenn Blackwood, and Lyle Blackwood. Apologize for any names that I pronounced very, very wrong. Chargers QB Dan Fouts, running back Chuck Muncie, fullback John Cappelletti, receivers Wes Chandler and Charlie Joyner, tight end Kellen Winslow, offensive line, in order from what I said, left tackle to right tackle, Billy Shields, Doug Wilkerson, Don Maychek, Ed White, Russ Washington, defensive line Leroy Jones, Luke Kelcher, Gary Johnson, John Woodcock, linebackers Lyndon King, Bob Horn, Woodrow Lowe, and secondary Willie Buchanan, Mike Williams, Pete Shaw, and Glenn Edwards. So, game played in Miami. Let's just get into what happened. So, first quarter, Chargers, Rolf Bernarski, 32-yard field goal, 3-0 San Diego. Chargers, Wes Chandler, 58-yard punt return, touchdown, 10-0 San Diego. First quarter, Chargers, James Brooks, or Chuck Muncie, 1-yard rush, touchdown, 17-0 San Diego. Chargers, James Brooks, 8-yard touchdown pass from Dan Fouts, 24-0 San Diego. Second quarter, Dolphins, Uwe von Schumann, 34-yard field goal, 24-3 San Diego. Dolphins, Joe Rose, 1-yard touchdown pass from Don Strock, 24-10 San Diego. Dolphins, Tony Nathan, 25-yard pass from Don Strock, 24-17 San Diego. Third quarter, Dolphins, Joe Rose, 15-yard touchdown pass from Don Strock. It is 24-24. Chargers, Kellen Winslow, 25-yard touchdown pass from Dan Fouts, 31-24 San Diego. Dolphins, Bruce Hardy, 50-yard pass from Don Strock, 31-31. Fourth quarter, Dolphins, Tony Anthony, 12-yard touchdown run, 31-38 Miami. Chargers, James Brooks, 9-yard touchdown pass from Dan Fouts. It's 38-all. And then overtime, Rolf Bernarski, 29-yard field goal, a win for San Diego. Pretty much a lot of scoring, and that's what I liked about it. Was you had at one point San Diego destroying, and then Miami gets back into it, and then the rest of the game it was just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and that makes a really good, entertaining playoff game. Was just how much offense. Sometimes defense is really actionable, but in this case, sometimes the offense will just kind of just make you intrigued, and that's exactly what happened. Just a very good game, and had some really good names and faces in there. So, number 3, the Showdown, Part 2. So the Showdown is pretty much the matchup that they had, which was one of the highest, if not the highest, scoring playoff game between the Green Bay Packers and the Arizona Cardinals in the wild card. Back in, I believe it was 2009, but I may be wrong. Anyway, fast forward, you got 2015, and they are, they're in Arizona for the divisional game. Green Bay Packers trying to get back to the Super Bowl. They haven't been there for a while. Arizona in there. They're the favorites to definitely top the Packers, but, as you'll see, a lot of things happened during the game. So let's take a look at every starter. Let's take a look at the Cardinals. QB Carson Palmer, running back David Johnson. Receivers Michael Floyd, John Brown, Larry Fitzgerald. Tight end Darren Fells. Offensive line Gerald Vettier, Michael Iapati, Lyle Steinlein, Ted Larson, Bobby Massey. Defensive line Calais Campbell, Josh Morrow, Frosty Rucker. Linebackers Kevin Minter, Deion Buchanan, Marcus Golden. Secondary Patrick Peterson, Gerard Powers, Rashad Johnson, Tony Jefferson. So, Packers, quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, running back, Eddie Lacy, receivers, Jared Aberdeus, James Jones, Randall Cobb, tight end Richard Rodgers, offensive line, David Bakhtiari, Josh Sidden, Corey Lindsley, TJ Lang, and Brian Bulaga. Defensive line, Mike Daniels, BJ Raji. Linebackers, Mike Neal, Clay Matthews, Jake Ryan, Julius Peppers, and secondary, Demarius Randall, Casey Hayward, Sam Shields, Morgan Burnett, and Clinton Dix. So, overall, fantastic team for both of them. Let's just get into it. First quarter, 6 minutes, 48 seconds left. Michael Floyd, 8-yard touchdown pass from Carson Palmer, 7-0 Arizona. Second quarter, 11 minutes, 22 seconds left. Mason Crosby, 28-yard field goal. It is 3-7. And 57 seconds left in the half. Mason Crosby, 34-yard field goal, 6-7. The third quarter, 10 minutes, 17 seconds left. Jeff Janis, 8-yard touchdown pass for Aaron Rodgers, 13-7 Green Bay. 5 minutes and 5 seconds left. Chandler Catanzaro, 28-yard field goal, 13-10. Fourth quarter, 3 minutes, 44 seconds. Michael Floyd, 9-yard touchdown pass, 13-17, Arizona. 1 minute 55. Chandler Catanzaro, 36-yard field goal, 13-20, Arizona. And with ticks remaining, you will know about this. The Hail Mary pass from Aaron Rodgers. He just was in pressure. He's like, all right, I'm just gonna throw it up. What's the worst that can happen? We lose anyway. Let's lose with some dignity. Rodgers just throws a bomb to the end zone with nothing remaining. Like there's 0 seconds on the clock. And Jeff Janis pulls it, gets the ball over a lot of Cardinals defenders, and it's a touchdown pass, and it's 20-20 now. And then you're like, whoa, like this is an exciting game. Like it's to the end. And then overtime hit, and Cardinals just drove all the way down pretty easily. Thanks to Larry Fitzgerald. And with 13:55 left, Larry Fitzgerald, 5-yard touchdown pass from Carson Palmer. Arizona wins in overtime, 20-26. But the thing that happened for me was that this was an exciting game from start to finish. And it was one of those games that you just had to always just be there. You didn't want to leave your seat. It was just very exciting, very fun. And yeah, it deserves to be very, very high. Number 2, Stabler's Stamp. It's 1974. It's Miami versus Oakland. In Oakland. And it is an exciting time. It's playoff time. And it's time to see who's going to win. Are you going to have the Miami Dolphins, which was a very upstart team? You know, they were ready to kind of get a win, or was it going to be those Raiders? You know, were they going to come in and get the job done? So, I mean, we all know about the Dolphins. Earlier in the 70s, they were the team that, you know, had that undefeated record, which no one has been able to top yet. Technically New England, but they lost. So, just obviously just two great teams battling it out. Let's just go. Raider starters: QB Ken Stabler, running back Clarence Davis, fullback Marv Hubbard, receivers Cliff Branch and Fred Bolitnikoff, tight end Bob Moore, offensive line Art Shell, Gene Upshaw, Jim Otto, George Bueller, John Vella, defensive line Bubba Smith, Otis Sistrunk, Art Toms, and Horace Jones, linebackers Phil Filippiano, Dan Connors, Gerald Irons, and the secondary Skip Thomas, Nehemiah Wilson, George Atkinson, and Jack Tatum. The Dolphin starters: quarterback Bob Greasy, running back Benny Malone, fullback Larry Zonka, receivers Nat Moore and Paul Warfield, tight end Mark Fleming, offensive line Wayne Moore, Bob Kuchenberg, Jim Langer, Larry Little, and Norm Evans, defensive line Vern Den Herder, Manny Fernandez, Bob Hines, Bill Stanfield, linebackers Bob Matheson, Nick Bionisconti, Mike Colin, and secondary Tim Foley, Curtis Johnson, Dick Anderson, and Jake Scott. So overall, great teams. Let's just get into this. First quarter, Dolphins, Nat Moore, 89-yard kickoff return, touchdown, 7-0 Miami. Second quarter, Charlie Smith, 31-yard touchdown pass from Ken Stabler. It is 7-0. It's 7-all. And then Gyro Yepremian, 33-yard field goal is good. It's 10-7 Miami. Third quarter, Fred Bolitnikoff, 32-yard pass from Ken Stabler, touchdown, 10-14 Oakland. Paul Warfield, 16-yard touchdown pass from Bob Greasy. It is 16-14 Miami. They missed the extra point. Fourth quarter, Gyro Yepremian, 46-yard field goal is 19-14 Miami. Cliff Branch, 72-yard pass from Ken Stabler. It is 19-21 Oakland. And then Dolphins, Benny Malone, 23-yard touchdown run is 26-21. And this is where the game got into second gear. This is like just an incredible game overall. Like overall, it was a great game. but this is what makes it one of the best. Ken Stabler's pretty much his drive goes down the field, and there's not much time left, and Ken Stabler's about to get sacked. He just throws one up, and it happened to be Clarence Davis that gets an 8-yard touchdown pass from Ken Stabler to have 26-28, and by that point, the game was pretty much over. Ken Stabler had his drive, and just kind of solidified his whole legacy kind of thing, and he was just one of those guys that was going to get a win for this team. And honestly, it's one of those games you're like, whoa, like, yeah, this is one of the best games I've ever seen. So yeah, this 1974 matchup has to be at top of it, and it's got to be number 2. Yeah. Number 1, the Immaculate Reception. So honestly, this is the best divisional game of all time, and it's just one of those defensive kind of games for sure, and one of those games that just, when it's luck, it's luck. When it's your time, it is your time to shine, and it's just one of those games is fantastic. Classic Raider-Steeler battle. Two teams that are physical, that are ready to go, and yeah, you just got to look at these rosters. It's pretty great. Steelers QB Terry Bradshaw, running back Franco Harris, fullback John Fugo, receivers Ron Shanklin and Al Young, tight end John McMacken, offensive line John Cobb, Sam Davis, Brady Mansfield, Bruce Van Dyke, and Jerry Mullins, defensive line Elsie Greenwood, Joe Green, Ben McGee, and Dwight White, linebackers Jack Ham, Henry Davis, Andy Russell, and John Rouser, the secondary is John Rouser, Mel Blunt, Mike Wagner, and Glenn Edwards. On the Raiders side, QB Daryl LaMonica, running back Charlie Smith, fullback Marv Hubbard, Mike Ciani, and Fred Biletnikoff. Wideouts, tight end Raymond Chester, offensive line Art Shell, Gene Upshaw, Jim Otto, George Bueller, Bob Brown. Defensive line Tony Klein, Otis Sistrom, Art Thoms, and Horace Jones. Linebackers Phil Filippiano, Dan Connors, Gerald Irons, and secondary Nehemiah Wilson, Willie Brown, George Atkinson, and Jack Tatum. So, now, the game-wise. Game is in Pittsburgh, okay? Great crowd. Everything's great. Let's start. No one scored for the entire first half. That's how much of a defensive stop it was. And that's how much of really how much of a great game it was. It didn't even go, and no one scored until the third quarter, and that third quarter was just a field goal. Roy Gorilla, 18-yard field goal, 3-0 Pittsburgh. Fourth quarter goes around, and this is the action. You got Roy Gorilla, 29-yard field goal. It's 6-0 Pittsburgh. You're like, dang, dude, they're shutting down the Raiders. Until Ken Stabler's 30-yard rush goes for a touchdown, and now it's 7-6 Pittsburgh. Terry Bradshaw. Something's got to give. What's going to give is that they get one of those miraculous plays that everyone in NFL history will always remember. Terry Bradshaw throws a pass. Looks like it's about to be picked, but it bounces off. Franco Harris just barely gets that before it becomes incomplete. And he runs it for the end zone. It's a touchdown. Pittsburgh wins the game 13-7. And it's one of those games that's like an up and down roller coaster. You go from super defensive game, no one scoring, to a hyped fourth quarter, and that's why I really enjoy this game. It's an up and down game, and it's just one of those, just really one of those hard-nosed games that's like an old throwback kind of thing, and it's pretty nice to see those kind of games once in a while, and so tough-nosed game comes with the tough-nosed expectation, and it's going to come with number 1.